Hey everybody, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy. We're gonna give it a sec. I'm gonna make sure I'm live and we're gonna give it a minute for the notifications to go out and for everybody to jump on. So I'm not even seeing that I'm live yet. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay, so. No? Oh, perfect, there we go. Whoops, let me take that out. So you guys, again, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy. You guys, if you're popping on tonight, just say hey, where you're watching from. Of course, if you watch this on replay, just hashtag replay. You guys, if you join my lives regularly, thank you. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. Otherwise, welcome, and hopefully some of these videos can be helpful for you. But you guys, tonight we're going to be working on the first coat on this dresser back here. I'm calling it our Mediterranean dresser. And I'll give you an idea of what I've already done on it so far. And actually, even before that, so I've got some people, I see some people jumping on. Hey, Donna. Like I said, just say hey where you're watching from. So you guys, before we even get started, I actually have Terra clay paint out here. And then I have the corresponding light colors in our chalk mineral paint, Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint. So let me know, you guys, which one you would like to see me use tonight, because I'm on the fence. Both of them have really nice properties that I'd like to incorporate in here, but I can't make a decision. So please help me out. Hey, Denise, good to see you. So that was the first thing. As far as this dresser goes, this was a very different style dresser. I've had this for quite some time. And when I saw the Iflex Mediterranean trim here, look how beautiful is that, you guys. I came out in my garage. This is solely designed around this trim. I've had this dresser for a few years and I've just never been inspired to do anything with it, really. It had this horrible scroll thing at the bottom. So I knew when I saw this trim, I finally was inspired. So I cleaned it with White Lightning. I did do a scuff sand on it. I'm not worried about bleed through because this finish is really intact, and I'm going with ultimately some darker colors. So I'm not worried about using priming it with like our Boss, no odor to it, so I didn't have to worry about that. I don't need to do the slick stick either because I did the scuff sand, and either one of these paint lines that we choose to go with tonight will take care of it. Hey, Donna. So you guys, Denise and Donna, you're commenting, would you rather see some Terra clay paint or some chalk mineral paint? Let me know, because I'm going to go with whatever you guys say. Please don't make me make the decision. So anyway, you guys, what I did, there's two sizes. There's actually three sizes in this trim. I'm using the medium large. This had one of those horrible shells up here, so I filled that in with Dixie mud. And then I cut 3 of these medallions out to cover up that shell section, so I can totally change the look of this. And then also, with the smaller trim, so this is 2.75 inches. I just added this all the way around the bottom to cover up that scroll work. I had to build in a backing for it, but that covers up that scroll. And then also I cut out some smaller circles in here because these are going to be my knob back plates. And I had a knob up here. Well, there's no telling what I did with it. I had a knob up here so I could show you, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, I've got some knobs with some Mediterranean type design on them that'll go in here. This is, by the way, this is not it, found it, but it's this style. This actually is a flower that's going on another piece with some rose trim I'm using. But so you can get the idea, I'll have those back plates on here. So now we're just going to do, okay, perfect. So chalk paint, we're going to be using chalk paint. Hey, Mike, how's it going? All right, is it cold up there for you guys, or are you guys still warm yet? You know, I'm outside. Look, it's 80 some degrees. I can't believe it at the end of October. but I think it hasn't happened since like 1940 or something. So anyway, sorry. So always when I have trim or anything like that or molding on my piece, I do like to take a dark color and go ahead and just get in all of the details because once I paint this, some of this is still going to show through, and that's going to automatically give me a whole lot of depth. I don't have to really, if I don't want to, I don't have to wax. I don't have to do anything after that because it's already going to have that depth built into it. Hey, Nikki. Oh my gosh, so good to see you. All right. Oh, it was 80 in Ohio today too. Wow. It's just, the weather is crazy, you guys. I feel like I talk about that every time I'm live. So we're going to paint a couple more of these, and then we're going to go over here. It looks like we're going to be painting with the chalk mineral paint. And I've got some sea spray out here too because we're going to be adding some texture to this piece. The ultimate goal is to give it kind of a worn, aged, kind of Mediterranean colors. Not necessarily a Mediterranean paint job, but Mediterranean colors, just worn and aged a little bit. So I'll be doing a lot of dry brushing and all that good stuff. So to do the detail work, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I know you guys have seen me do this before, but just in case somebody hasn't, I'm going to bring you in because then we will pop over to this other side and you'll be able to bring in as close as I can here. We'll pop over to this other side and we'll start using our awesome colors, which is not the color it's going to be in the long run. This first layer is the layer that's just going to peek through here and there. Well, that's the plan. All right, so I like to use a lot of water when I'm doing this. I'm using a French tip brush. This is a natural bristle brush, and it just has that point on it. It allows you to get into a lot of the details, and that's all I want to do with this right here. I'm also just sweeping some of the excess paint across, doing a little dabbing in places just to give it a little bit of texture and to kind of give me some of that depth as well whenever I go over it. Give these low points some depth as well once I start painting. And you guys, I will spray my French tip brush here as well as my piece. The more you water down the paint here, the easier it is to get into all of those grooves. Sorry, I had to make sure I was getting around the outside there. So again, I'm just using that excess paint, kind of adding a little more of this coffee bean in some other areas as well. Let's pop you down so we can do this last one. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. Oh, you're in Houston? Yes. You know, I used to live in, well, I was stationed at Fort Hood. This was a long, long time ago. And which is like 60 miles north of Austin. And I used to love, like in February sometimes, we would, you know, be so nice and warm. It was like spring was already started. I love the weather there. Of course, you guys have gotten some crazy weather in the past year or two. We never had snow, ever, whenever I lived there. All right, so again, I'm just dabbing in some spots, creating a little bit of texture, and just getting in all these details. So that's all I'm doing. And we're gonna paint this other side, so I'm not even gonna worry about getting these last ones over here right now. Hey, Jody, good to see you too. All right. Hey, Patty, thanks for joining. All right, so I'm just gonna put my lid here on my coffee bean and then move you guys back out and we're gonna start. So for our first layer, don't think I'm crazy. Like I said, this is not our final color. I just want this to peek through. I've got the Mediterranean Iflex on here. So I wanna go with those colors. So we're gonna be using some Kernel Mustard. By the way, this is going to end up being blue. Probably I'll use Peacock and I haven't 100% decided. Probably some pure ocean, maybe one of the greens too a little bit. It'll probably be kind of like a dry blendy aged thing I got going on. And then I've got Plum Crazy, and I picked Plum Crazy. I don't want as much of the pinks, but once you mix that Plum Crazy with the Kernel Mustard, you get a lot of really cool coral colors and stuff like that. So that's where we're starting with it. See our first snowfall in Colorado this weekend. Oh my gosh. Do you, Annie? See, not me. I can't go far enough south. I want to be like Key West. I love the heat, but I lived in Alaska. I lived in Alaska for 3 years too, military, Fort Wainwright. And I saw enough snow because we had snow from like the beginning of September, and then maybe like by the end of April, it would melt. I had enough snow and cold weather because we used to get like in January and February, we could be like negative 55. So after that, I've never wanted snow or cold weather again. You guys, I'm just shaking up my paint, making sure it's all mixed up here. Oh, thank you, Kathy. That's so sweet. It was a long, long time ago. Long ago. Long ago. I've been out since 1995, so that'll probably tell you. All right, so we're going to come over to, actually, I'm going to pop you down because I'm going to mix these with the sea spray so that you can see them. Yeah, it is a big dresser, Patty. It's like, I can't even remember. I know these rolls are 84 inches. So here we go. I got you popped down. These rolls are 84 inches each of the Iflex Mediterranean trim. And I used almost 2 complete rolls. And I think it's only like maybe 18 inches deep. So it's pretty long. All right. So I've got my little containers out here because I want to thicken up. I want to thicken up my paint because I want it to be nice and chunky. Oh, no spoons. I want it to be nice and chunky because I am going to kind of distress down to it. So that's why I want to create this texture. Oh, I should have had a spoon, guys. And I'm going to mix up some extra because we're only painting a small section tonight, but I'll have to go around the rest of the dresser. So, let me see here. Probably going to have paint all over me by the time I get done. But once they start painting, it's not going to take long. All right, so this is our Plum Crazy. And that first color we just got out is Terracotta. So you guys, this paint goes a long, long ways. So we've got our Plum Crazy, and then we're going to do our Kernel Mustard. Kernel Mustard is really one of my favorites. I mean, outside of my blues and greens that you guys know I love. Love Kernel Mustard. Yeah, in Colorado. So I also lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Where are you at in Colorado? Colorado Springs is one of my favorite places. And if you're a creative, I feel like that's also one of the most inspirational places. There's just nothing like the Rocky Mountains. And when I was in Colorado Springs, you know, that's just right at the base of the mountains. I absolutely loved it. And the snow does go there. Plus, it's like a drier kind of cold. Yeah, actually, I loved Colorado. I don't know what I'm talking about. I would probably live there again. All right, perfect. So we've got all this here. Now, so measurement-wise, 2 tablespoons of this goes to 8 ounces of paint. Obviously, I don't have 8 ounces of paint in here, and I also don't really measure. So, and I should have thought of this before I mixed it up in here because I wanted to use my Big Daddy brush, but that's all right. Wasn't thinking before I got this out. So, let's say I'm going to use maybe just a little bit here. I can always I can always add more to thicken it up. Oh, you guys, did I not use a little stir stick with this? I guess not. So we're just going to stir this up. And you want to mix it up really well because you want your color thoroughly mixed in. You don't want to have a little white powder poking through. And you can make this as thick as you want or as thin as you want. I'm actually going for something probably a little bit thinner than what I normally do, but slightly thicker than the paint naturally is. And you want to mix it up so that it is about the consistency of pudding is kind of what I'm looking for. Just want to mix it really well. I might end up having to pour this into a plate, guys, because I really was not thinking about the brushes I was going to be using. They can't fit in this little container. Maybe I should have mixed a couple of these up first. All right, so I'm just looking at the comments, make sure I'm not missing or I didn't miss anything. So you guys, after the live, I will go back and answer any questions too. So here you go. You can kind of see how thick that is. Not too thick. Normally I make it a bit more chunky. It does get thicker though the longer it sits. So if you want to thin this out, because I do save mine, if you want to thin it out, you just mix a little water in it. Or you could add more paint too if you wanted to as well. All right, so let me just add a little bit. So I kind of know now how much I want to add to these. And I'm using about 1/4 of a scoop in these little containers here. And I'm kind of glad, so let me tell you too, I told you I was on the fence about whether I wanted to use the chalk mineral paint or the Terra clay paint. So let me tell you why I'm happy that you guys chose the chalk mineral paint. The Terra clay paint reactivates with water no matter how long it sits until it's protected. The Terra clay paint is automatically thicker, so I wouldn't have had to thicken it. I wouldn't have had to do this step here. But when this paint dries, it's not going to reactivate once it has had a chance to harden. So you give it about 24 hours before I do the second layer. It's not going to reactivate at all. I can spray, I can do a blended second coat with this peeking through. I can do whatever I want there. If I use the Terra clay paint, it's naturally thick and that's really nice, but I have to put a coat of protectant on it before I do the second coat if I do not want it to reactivate. And because I'm going with blues, these are kind of the complementary colors to blue, you know, the oranges and stuff are the complementary colors to blue. So that would make brown if I used the Terra clay paint and it reactivated without the protectant. But like I said, it'll be a little bit easier with the Terra because I wouldn't have to thicken it up. I wouldn't have to mix any of this. And there's some other cool looks that you can create with that as well. So that's kind of why I was on the fence with which one I wanted to use. You can mix. They're both water-based paints though. One is chalk-based, one is clay-based. And you can mix them together though because they are water-based. So that's another option there. All right, so we've got our paint all nice and thickened up. And I am actually just going to grab a plate because I'm going to dump some of this onto my plate here. Because I want to be able to use my bigger brushes. And I can always mix up more of this if I need it. All right, so now I'm going to pop you guys up. Sorry, I feel like that was kind of long, mixing that up. All right, and we are going to get started. All right, so I'm going to be using a natural bristle brush because, again, I do want texture. These are going to lend itself to texture. Let me tell you another key point with the Terra clay paint. Terra clay paint does not have a self-leveling property in it, so it's also given to having a textured finish. Chalk mineral paint is self-leveling, so, you know, it automatically wants to try to help you get the texture out of it, the way that the paint is made. So I'll have to work a little harder for my texture, but again, in the long run, it's half dozen of one and half dozen of the other, which way you go. Because again, I would have had to spend more time doing a coat of protectant in between. So, you know, there's always a plus and a minus whenever you're making that choice. And that's actually one of the biggest questions that I get asked is what's the biggest difference between the two paints? And that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm making that decision. So I'm going to use a different brush for each color here. And I'm kind of dabbing. In some places I want some brush strokes. But you guys, I want to create some cool colors. I don't really actually want a lot of pink in here. So you see where I'm making this orange? I want some to be brush strokes and some. I'm going to also take some of this terracotta and bring it through here. I actually think I really like the terracotta best, so that's probably what I'm going to mainly go with. I'm still going to have some of these pinks and yellows in here, though. And I'm not worried about working into the details because you're going to see, even just with this first coat, how that texture is created. So I'm going to end up painting the whole thing, but I typically go in sections when I'm doing something like this, because it just helps me to get like an overall picture of kind of where I'm going. Oh, but look, see how pretty that is? Even the terracotta and this Plum Crazy. I love having that Plum Crazy base, even though I don't necessarily want all these pinks in here, but it really creates some gorgeous color mixes that are really gonna complement my blues that I'm going with. And I know what a crazy paint job this seems like, but this is just all part of the layering process. And I think I want to bring a little bit more. I feel like I've got too much of that Plum Crazy up there. Want to bring a little bit in. Also, another reason I go from section to section is I want to be able to sometimes let part of that dry so I am already getting that layered look. Let's add a little bit of Plum Crazy in over here. Can you guys see? Oh, thanks, Patty. Yeah, it's going to look like when we end tonight, you're going to be like, why did I spend 45 minutes watching this probably? But once you start seeing the next layers, and we're going to be working on this throughout the next week, on my page and on the Dixie Belle page, we're going to be working with our horse that we started Wednesday, which despite the fact that I have wrinkles is turning out really kind of cool looking. I'm liking it. You guys, I'm going to open up some of my coffee beans too, because I want to start doing some dry brushing and shading as well while we're doing these sections up here. So let's come over here with some of this and let's get a little bit in there. And all I'm doing is switching brushes and bringing my colors through. I just want lots of different shades in here. And in some cases, I also brought that coffee bean up here, so that's where I'm getting some of these darker tones as well. And I am fine with leaving all of this texture on here. I even brought palette brushes out here to kind of maybe create more texture, but I think I'm not going to need it at this stage. I will probably eventually. I think I'm going to... Uh-oh. Hopefully you guys are back. Sorry about that. I kind of went black for a minute there. I think I lost my connection. And I kind of forgot what I was saying there. But, again, sometimes I'm mixing these colors so I can create a new color right on my piece, just like it's a palette. And other times I'm waiting, giving it a little time to dry and come back in and putting the color in. It's kind of helping me see where I have things. And actually, I'm going to be honest, I wish I would have brought out my my vinegar, because I would definitely start spraying this with vinegar as well, so I could start getting some of the drips and stuff that I would really like to see on here as well. Let's see. I'm going to end up going darker blues towards the bottoms, so I might keep some of this Plum Crazy down here. Let's bring you down, because I'm skipping all over the place here. Let me bring you back, so actually you have a whole view of this. Oh, thanks, Julie. I know it's looking crazy, guys, but I promise it's going to, like I said, it's not even going to be these colors. These are just going to be the colors that peek through. And I'm applying this paint in all kinds of different ways. I mean, I want it to look ultimately that it was applied at different times in its existence. I'm going to come back, some more of our terracotta. I love this terracotta mix with the Plum Crazy. And I'm just dabbing a little bit because I'm taking it a little bit more into the details. Let's go with a little bit more of that up here, maybe a little over there, some down here. Like I said, these back plates too are ultimately probably going to be done in bronze as well. But like I said, it's completely random what I've got going on here. Let's add a little bit more of this Colonel Mustard over here. And you guys, there's no rhyme or reason for this. You're just looking at your piece and deciding kind of where you want your colors to lay out. There's no right or wrong way here. I'm just getting a little bit more paint dumped on my plate. But I definitely think, because I am going with the blues, the complementary color, I want to keep this mostly oranges, I think. Just with this Plum Crazy highlight in a couple of spots. Now I want to mix some of that together. And I've got some thick paint drips here. I am good with that. I'm going in multiple directions. Let's bring a little bit of this over here. We've got our Colonel Mustard. And again, I'm just seeing where I want to put what might need a little bit more texture. And again, I'm using a natural bristle brush so that I can get that texture and keep that texture as well. Let's go down here, go up the middle some. think I want to mix some of this kernel mustard in here. And again, I know how crazy this looks, but these are not going to be the colors. We're just using our Plum Crazy, if you're joining late, Terracotta, and kernel mustard to create a background for our blue colors that we're going to come in with, that this is going to peek through. And my second coat will not be in the same style that I am using right now. I think I am going to keep the bottom a bit darker. That's where I'm going to come in with my darker blues. So that's kind of why I'm in my mind here, adding a little bit more of the Plum Crazy and creating different kinds of texture here. And you can do this with all kinds of different things. You could actually dab it. Our horse piece that we're going to do is going to be a more textured finish as well. And I'm going to actually be applying that with sponges. So can you guys see this bottom corner? Let me drop you down a little bit. Yes. Been Loveland. Oh, you're in Loveland. Yeah, I know where that's at. I've been there. Yeah, it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I would go back to the cold for those mountains. I mean, there's just nothing like them. So I can get some kernel mustard, just a few highlights down here. I'm going to kind of have to wait until this dries up a little bit. Otherwise, I'm just still doing a little blending. Just move all this. So I love coffee bean as that's a huge go-to for me when I'm doing any molding, because it goes with any color. And it just gives you so much texture. All these layers just add up and make a huge difference. All right, let's come up here. Let's do this middle section, this big section up here. And you guys, by the way, if you want any information on this Iflex, just do a comment that says Iflex, and I can send you the links and everything for this trim. I love this Mediterranean trim. I've already got some other ideas to use it with. And you guys, it's drillable. So that's how I was able to do these back plates. I've already drilled the holes in those. If you haven't used a product like this, you just heat it up. I've got several videos, but you just heat it up. And that's it. You're ready to glue it on. It becomes bendable and flexible, and then when it cools off, it just goes back to hard as a rock. Just like another piece of wood. You don't want to get too down in there. I want that coffee bean to show through. Let's go across here. And let's add some yellow. And this is going to look so cool with the blues over this. Put a little bit more yellow on here. Let's go for a little pink over this way as well, that we actually keep. All right, perfect. So you guys, I'm gonna stop here because I'm just going to paint this whole piece just like this. And then I will either, hey, Penny, good to see you. And Penny, since you weren't here before, this dresser is not ultimately going to be this color. This is just our first layer. It's going to end up being blue, but I want on this Mediterranean part and some of the corners, it's going to be an aged piece. So I want this to just peek through here and there. So this is just our first layer. But you guys, I'm just going to continue on, do the rest. I'll paint the whole thing this way. And then I will either pop on live to do the second coat, or I will post a video of the second coat. And that should be, I'm probably not going to layer a lot more than that. I'll do the second coat in blue on here, put it on pretty thick in some places. Other places just let this peek through. And then after that, I'll do a little dry brushing to add some aging, probably like in coffee bean. I might add a little rusted effect in some places, do some bronze, whatever. But that's it. I'm only going to do 2 layers on this. So like I said, you guys, thank you for commenting and everything. Just do a hashtag replay if you're watching later. I will pay attention to my page. I'll have some more on this piece so you can really see how it's going to come together. And then if you have any interest or have any questions about the Iflex, just comment Iflex. I can send you some information. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. By the way, I am a Dixie Belle retailer too. If you're new to my page, locally I'm here at University Pickers in Huntsville, Alabama, as well as the Rustic Willow in Ardmore for any of these products. And you can also take a look at my website. But you guys, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Jody. This one's going to be done pretty quickly. I should have it finished by next weekend. Oh, thank you, Lori. You're so sweet. I should have this one done by next weekend, though. You're going to see a lot more coming from this piece and the horse piece in the next week or so. Hey, Philippa, good to see you. Good morning. But you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm just going to continue on here until I've got the front done tonight. And then, like I said, I'll be doing something this weekend. I'm not sure if it'll be alive or not. But thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.